So this last section of the endocrine system will look at the pancreas and then pineal gland as part of the other endocrine glands. So let's start with the pancreas. And so the pancreas is going to be important for insulin and for regulating fuel metabolism, so primarily of glucose. So the endocrine cells are found within the islet of Langerhans of the pancreas. And that's represented here in this little figure. So the beta cells, which are here in blue, are going to be the site of insulin synthesis and secretion. The alpha cells, which are here in the red, are important in the production of glucagon. Delta cells, or D cells, are a site of somatostatin synthesis, which is important for nutrient and vitamin absorption, and so they do play a role, however not with blood glucose levels. Also, there are PP cells, which are the least common, and they secrete pancreatic polypeptides that aid in the digestion of fats as well as with carbohydrates. So the two main important hormones that we'll focus our attention on will be on insulin and glucagon. So with insulin, this is an anabolic hormone, which anabolic means that it is going to build things up, and the purpose is to lower blood glucose levels to their normal range. So this helps to promote cellular uptake of glucose, fatty acids, and amino acids as well, and it helps to enhance the conversion into glycogen, triglycerides, and proteins. And so when there are lower levels of concentration of these small molecules, insulin will be activated. Glucagon is going to be directly antagonistic to insulin, where this is going to be secreted in response to a direct effect in a fall in blood glucose levels that are going to be stimulated by those A or alpha cells. The purpose here then of glucagon is to raise blood glucose levels to a normal range. And so there are no clinical known abnormalities that are caused by a glucagon deficiency or due to an excess. However, with insulin, diabetes mellitus is commonly known or understood. And for glucagon, we have what it does is it stimulates the liver to hydrolyze glucagon into glucose, and then it releases it into the blood. Also, then it stimulates gluconeogenesis, conversion of non-carbohydrate sources into glucose, such as fatty acids and amino acids. And then also, glucagon will stimulate lipolysis in adipose tissue, so fat is released and used as a fuel source instead of glucose. So when we look at the two, let's start here with if we have an increase in circulating blood glucose levels. So this is going to inhibit those A or alpha cells, but it's going to stimulate B or beta cells. And so when we have an increase in blood glucose levels, that's going to increase the amount of insulin that's circulating, and then it's going to decrease blood glucose levels to normal. And in turn, since glucagon and insulin are antagonistic to one another, if we have an increase in insulin, we'll have a decrease then in glucagon. On the contrary, when we have low levels of blood glucose levels, so right before lunch or breakfast, what's going to happen is the opposite. So A cells or alpha cells are going to be activated to increase glucagon levels, whereas the beta or B cells of the pancreas are going to be inhibited, and so we'll have a decrease in insulin, all of which will increase then the amount of blood glucose levels in the bloodstream to go back to normal values. With diabetes mellitus, this is the most common disorder of all the endocrine disorders, and this is due to elevated blood glucose levels. And so as a reminder, when we have elevated blood glucose levels, that's going to stimulate an increase in insulin secretion to decrease blood glucose levels back to normal. However, there is some type of error that occurs in maintaining negative feedback in homeostasis. And so with that, with the elevated high levels of blood glucose, one of the side effects is that the urine also excretes amount of glucose, which is abnormal. Typically, we absorb all the glucose within our body. And so there are two main types. We have type 1 diabetes and type 2, where type 1 is due to a lack of insulin secretion. Typically, this is known as childhood diabetes, because if this is not something that is due to environmental causes, rather this will be genetic or will be expressed early in life. And then type 2 diabetes is due to normal or even increased insulin secretion, but a decrease in sensitivity to the target cells for insulin. And so this is what's typically referred to as adult onset diabetes, where your body either will resist the effect of insulin or it doesn't produce enough insulin to maintain then those normal glucose levels. And the last gland is the pineal gland that we'll focus on. And so this is located on the roof of the third ventricle in the brain. In this image, it's found here. And so this helps to maintain our body's circadian rhythms in sync with our light and dark cycle. And the hormone that will help direct this is melatonin. So stimulation of melatonin production occurs when it's dark out. So the functions then of the pineal gland is to help promote sleep, also to influence reproductive activity, including onset of puberty. However, this mechanism is still quite not well understood. Also helps to act as an antioxidant to remove free radicals, and a lot of that has to do with maintaining a normal sleep cycle. And then also helps to enhance our immunity, where we have a lot of protein synthesis that occurs when one is sleeping. And so this is too why individuals who work third shift have a really hard time adapting quickly to that change in light-dark because of the melatonin levels. Also, though, jet lag is one of the reasons why with melatonin is one of the reasons why we experience jet lag, because of change in night-day cycle, and so it takes us a little bit to readjust our bodies to the new light-dark cycles.